Emma Carter had never thought a normal Tuesday afternoon could change the direction of her life. She was the kind of woman who lived quietly, never expecting surprises. At 38, she had learned how to keep her emotions steady, how to be practical, how to control her hopes so they didn't hurt her later. She had friends, she had a job she was good at, and she had a routine that kept her days predictable. But she also had a silence inside her heart that she had grown used to, the kind of silence you stop noticing after years of surviving disappointment. That afternoon, she sat alone in her small Portland apartment, surrounded by half-open boxes that her mother had sent her from the old family house. Her mother was downsizing, and Emma had agreed to take whatever old family albums or personal items needed a home. She wasn't excited about it just getting through another task on her list. Rain slid softly down the window beside her, creating a calm gray mood that matched her quiet lifestyle. She reached into the last box and pulled out a thick, overstuffed brown album. Inside were photos she expected. Birthdays, school events, her childhood friends she barely spoke to anymore. She flipped through them quickly, not feeling much. She had seen these moments 100 times, but then something different happened. Inside, plain white envelope tucked between 2 pages, Emma felt a single photograph. It wasn't labeled, wasn't part of the album, seemed hidden almost, intentionally. When she slid it out, a strange chill ran through her chest, not of fear, but something like recognition without memory. The kind of feeling you get when a dream feels too real. The photo showed her young. Maybe 20 hair longer, eyes brighter, smile softer. But she wasn't alone. She was standing next to a man she didn't recognize. He had warm brown eyes, a gentle, confident smile, and an expression that suggested he cared for her deeply. His hand rested lightly on her shoulder, and Emma's younger self was looking at him with a tenderness she didn't remember ever giving anyone. She stared at the picture longer than she expected. Something about it felt wrong, not in a bad way, but in a mysterious way. How could she not remember such a moment? How could she not remember someone who looked at her that way? Her pulse picked up, not from fear, but from a quiet, growing curiosity. The picture felt like a message from a part of her life she had somehow forgotten. When she flipped the photograph over, her breath caught in her throat. Written in her own handwriting were 5 words, "To the one I lost." Emma's heart trembled. She didn't remember writing that. She didn't remember losing anyone. She didn't even remember the man in the picture. Her memory of that time in her life was blurry, busy with college, jobs, family problems. She remembered stress. She remembered rushing. But she did not remember a man with warm eyes who seemed to have meant something to her. The rain outside grew heavier. And for the first time in a long while, Emma felt completely awake. Something inside her shifted like a locked door she hadn't touched in years was suddenly open. She didn't know what was behind it yet, but she could feel the pull. She read the words again and again. To the one I lost. Her handwriting looked certain, emotional, personal, but the emotion it carried felt unfamiliar to her now. Who had she been back then? What had happened that she had forgotten a whole person? And why did the photo make her heart feel something she couldn't name? Emma wasn't the kind of woman who believed in fate, but the timing, the feeling, the mystery, all of it made her pause. It made her wonder what else she had forgotten during the years she spent trying to hold life together. She remembered her father's illness, the stress of working 2 part-time jobs, exhausting back and forth between home and classes. Those memories were heavy, blurry, rushed. Maybe something meaningful had been pushed into the background. When life became too overwhelming, she studied the man in the photo again. He wasn't just handsome. He had a presence, a calmness that felt familiar in a way memory could not explain. His eyes seemed to be looking directly at her, as if asking her to remember him. The room felt smaller, warmer, almost charged with energy. She turned the picture over again, tracing the handwritten sentence with her thumb. A strange longing rose inside her chest, not romantic exactly, but emotional. Like missing someone she'd never met. Or maybe someone she had once known but allowed life to erase. Emma placed the picture on the table and leaned back, trying to breathe slowly. Her mind raced. She could ignore it. She could put the photo back in the box and chalk it up to something. She didn't need to understand, but deep down, she knew she wouldn't be able to. Something about the photo felt alive. Like it carried a truth she wasn't ready to walk away from. And Emma was tired of walking away from things. She picked up her phone and searched for a way to scan the photo. She uploaded it to a small online group where people often helped identify old pictures, not for dramatic reasons, just for curiosity. She wrote a simple caption, "Nothing dramatic, nothing private. Found this old photo in my family album. I'm trying to understand the moment behind it. Any information would help." She didn't expect anything to happen. Most posts in those groups were ignored or lost in the feed. She told herself she would forget about it and move on. But she didn't move on. She kept checking the post while trying to work on her laptop. Her thoughts kept drifting back to the picture, then to the man in it, then to her own expression in that moment. A softness she didn't remember ever having. Minutes passed. An hour passed. She made tea, hoping it would calm her, but it didn't. Her stomach had that deep, unsettled feeling that comes before something important. Later that night, long after she assumed no one would respond, her phone vibrated. A message notification appeared from someone she didn't know. Emma opened it and everything inside her froze for a moment. "Hi. I think the man in your photo might be my brother." Emma's heartbeat quickened instantly. Her fingers tightened around the phone. Her curiosity turned into something sharper, something urgent. She stared at the message, breath shallow, wondering what it meant. Wondering what she was about to learn. Wondering why a simple photograph had suddenly become the key to a part of her past she didn't even know was missing. In that moment, she understood one thing clearly. Her life was about to change. Emma stared at the message on her phone, her heart thudding fast, louder than she expected. She had posted the photo without expecting anything. And now a stranger claimed the man beside her, someone she couldn't remember, was her brother. She read the message again and again, trying to steady her breath. Her fingers trembled slightly. Not from fear, but from the rush of something she hadn't felt in years. Anticipation. Before replying, she clicked on the profile of the woman who had messaged her. Her name was Lily Anderson, a woman around her, mid-30s with a friendly, warm smile. She looked real, trustworthy, not someone pretending or playing around. Emma took a moment to calm herself, then typed back a polite message asking for more details. Lily responded almost instantly. "My brother is Michael Anderson. He went to college in Portland around the time this photo looks like it was taken. He used to help with local art events, photography workshops, and community programs. I've seen old pictures of him, and he looked a lot like the man standing next to you." Emma read the message slowly, letting every word settle inside her mind. She searched her memories for the name Michael Anderson. Nothing came up. It was like hearing a name from a book she never read. But the strange thing was the feeling. The photo still made her heart react, even if her mind couldn't remember. She asked Lily if her brother still lived in Portland. Double quotes, "Yes," Lily replied. "He moved back a few years ago. I showed him your post. He said he remembers you." Emma's breath caught. Her palms felt warm. She typed, "He remembers me. Are you sure?" "Yes," Lily responded. "He asked if I could share his number with you, only if you're comfortable." Emma hadn't expected this to move so fast. She didn't even know what she wanted yet. But she felt something inside her, an old feeling, waking up. She wiped her palms on her jeans, steadying herself, and finally said yes. When Lily sent the number, Emma stared at it like it was a key she wasn't sure she was ready to use. She thought about waiting a day. She thought about pretending she wasn't curious. But she couldn't. She needed to know. She needed answers. Her first text was short. "Hi, this is Emma. I'm not sure if you remember me, but I found an old photo of us." She expected silence. She expected hours, maybe a full day. His reply arrived in 3 minutes. I remember you. More than you think. Emma blinked at the screen, her stomach tightening. She wasn't used to this kind of emotional tension, the soft, curious pull towards someone connected to a part of her life she had lost. She asked if they could talk. He suggested meeting in person, saying, it's easier if we talk face to face. I can explain everything. Its confidence made her nervous, but also strangely comfortable. She agreed, and they decided on a small cafe by the river the next afternoon. It was a public place, casual, harmless, safe. Yet just thinking about meeting him made her chest feel light and heavy at the same time. The next day went by quickly, because Emma's mind refused to slow down. She kept replaying the photo in her head, imagining what conversation they had been having when it was taken, imagining who she was at that time, imagining how she could forget someone who remembered her so clearly. By the time she reached the cafe, her hands were slightly cold from nerves. She walked inside, scanning the tables, not sure who she was looking for until she saw him. Michael Anderson. He looked older than the man. In the picture, of course, he did, but he still had the same warm brown eyes, the same sincere smile, the same presence that felt calm and steady. He stood up when he saw her, giving her a gentle smile as if he had been waiting for this moment for a long time. Emma, he said softly, it's good to see you. His voice sounded warm, familiar, in a way that surprised her. She sat across from him, trying to control the swirl of emotions inside her. The cafe was quiet, filled with soft music and the smell of fresh coffee. For a moment, they simply looked at each other, both unsure how to begin. Michael finally spoke. You probably don't remember much about that time. It was a complicated summer for you. Emma leaned forward slightly. I don't remember anything about us. I don't know why. He nodded, not offended, not disappointed. I understand. I never expected you to remember every detail. You had a lot going on back then. He explained that they had met during a summer art program. She had been part of a small team helping organize community art events, while he had been one of the volunteers. They spent many long evenings planning, painting, setting up exhibitions. They talked a lot, shared personal stories, laughed through stressful days, and built a connection that surprised both of them. You were bright, fun, creative, Michael said. But you were also under pressure. Your father was sick. You were working 2 jobs. You barely slept. Emma listened carefully. Each piece sounded true, yet distant, like someone else's memories. She remembered that period of stress, the exhaustion, the heavy burden she carried. It made sense that she might have forgotten softer moments in the middle of all the chaos. You left suddenly, Mikhail continued. Your father's health got worse, and you needed to be home more. You didn't really say goodbye. You just disappeared. Emma looked down, feeling a strange mix of sadness and guilt. I'm sorry, she whispered. I didn't know I meant anything to you. Michael leaned back slightly, watching her with a calm expression. You meant more than you realized. But you were going through a lot. I didn't blame you. Just hoped someday our paths would cross again. His voice held no anger, only truth. Emma felt a warm wave of emotion. Not romantic yet, but deeply human. Someone from her past had cared about her, waited for her, remembered her. She looked at him again, noticing the kindness in his eyes. She wondered how many moments she had lost, how many feelings she had locked away without noticing. Why didn't you reach out? She asked gently. Michael hesitated, a shadow of vulnerability crossing his face. I tried once years ago, but you never responded. I thought you didn't want to reconnect. I didn't want to disturb your life. A soft silence fell between them. Emma felt something stir inside her, an echo of something she couldn't name. Knowing that he had remembered her all this time while she had forgotten made her feel both touched and unsettled. She wanted to ask more, but Michael suddenly looked down, his fingers brushing the edge of his cup. There's something else, he said quietly. Something I should tell you before we go any further." Emma felt her heart tighten. The cafe around them faded from her attention. She waited. Breath held as he lifted his eyes to hers with a seriousness that made her pulse quicken. What truth had been waiting all these years? Emma's heart tightened as she waited for Michael to continue. The cafe felt unusually still, as if the whole place was holding its breath with her. She had come here hoping for answers, but now she sensed something deeper, something heavier in the way he looked at her. His eyes were warm, but there was a weight behind them, the kind of weight that comes from carrying a truth for too long. Michael took a slow breath. "Before I explain everything," he said gently, "I want you to know something. I'm not here to pressure you or confuse you. I just want to be honest." Emma nodded, trying to keep her voice steady. "Please, tell me whatever you need to." He paused, searching for the right words. "Back then, during that summer, we weren't just friends who worked on the same project. We were closer than I realized at the time. We talked about everything. You trusted me with things you didn't tell anyone else, and I trusted you. We grew attached without planning to." Emma listened carefully, wishing her memory could show her even one scene from that time. But she only had his voice, his presence, and the strange emotional pull she couldn't explain. One night, Michael continued, "We were cleaning up after an event. You were tired, stressed, but you still laughed at something I said. I took a photo of you because you looked free, happier than you had been in weeks." His eyes softened. "That was the picture you found." Emma felt a sharp tug inside her chest. She had thought the photo was random, but knowing it had captured a moment of ease during a difficult time made it feel more meaningful. "So why didn't I remember any of this?" she asked quietly. Michael sighed. "Because a few days after that, your father's health took a serious turn. You got the call while we were meeting with the event team. You left in the middle of the meeting, shaking. I ran after you to make sure you were okay, and you told me you had to go home immediately. You were overwhelmed, scared, and it all happened at once. After that day, you didn't come back." Emma closed her eyes for a moment, letting the pieces settle. She remembered the general stress of that time, her father's illness, the tension at home, the guilt of trying to balance everything. But she had no clear memory of that meeting that night, or the connection Michael was describing. He continued gently, "You sent me a short message a week later. You said you were sorry that you couldn't explain much, but that you needed space. I didn't want to bother you. I knew you were dealing with too much. I respected that." Emma opened her eyes. But the writing on the back of the photo, "I wrote that later." "Yes," Michael said softly. "You came back to the art center just once. You didn't stay long. You looked tired but calmer. You handed me the photo and told me it reminded you of a version of yourself you wanted to hold on to. You said you were leaving town for a while. You didn't know how long. Then you wrote on the back of it." Emma swallowed hard. She could almost imagine herself doing that, wanting to save a piece of something good before everything around her fell apart. "I didn't keep the photo," Michael added. "You told me to keep it safe, but during the move home years later, I sent a box of your old things to your mom. It must have ended up with the rest of your family albums." Emma felt her throat tighten. She didn't know what to do with this mix of emotions, gratitude, sadness, surprise, a strange warmth. It was overwhelming. She sat back in her chair, trying to breathe slowly. The cafe was filling up now. But Emma barely noticed the people around them. She couldn't stop looking at Michael, studying the quiet, steady expression on his face. He wasn't dramatic. He wasn't pushing her into anything. He was simply sharing the truth, piece by piece. Finally, Emma asked, "Why did you want to meet me again? After all these years?" Michael looked down at his hands, then back at her with a sincerity that felt almost too honest. "Because I never forgot how I felt around you. It wasn't a deep love or anything dramatic like that. Not enough time passed for it to become something big. But it was real. It was warm. And I always wondered what could have happened if life had been kinder to you that year." Emma felt her chest warm, but also ache. "And now?" "And now," he said slowly, "I don't want to make the same mistake of not speaking up. I wanted you to know the truth. Not so you feel something for me, but so you know your past wasn't empty. It wasn't forgotten. You mattered to someone in a way that maybe you didn't realize." Emma stared at him, unable to speak. Something inside her, buried under years of emotional quietness, finally began to wake up. She didn't feel pressure. She didn't feel confusion. She felt clarity. Michael wasn't trying to pull her into the past. He was trying to reconnect with the woman she had become. He respected her space. He respected her truth. And he wasn't asking for anything in return. She took a slow breath, her voice soft. "I don't remember everything, but I feel something when I look at that photo. And when I look at you now, I don't know what it means yet." "You don't have to know today," Michael said gently. "I'm not in a hurry." A comfortable silence settled between them, not awkward, but thoughtful. Emma realized something important in that moment. Her life had been quiet for too long, not because she wanted it to be that way, but because she had closed doors she didn't even remember closing. Meeting Michael wasn't about revisiting a forgotten past. It was about understanding who she had been and who she could become now. They left the cafe and walked along the river. The evening air was cool, carrying hints of wood smoke and distant city noise. Emma felt calmer beside him, as if his presence filled the empty spaces around her without forcing anything as they reached the bridge. Michael looked ahead, his expression thoughtful. "There's something else I didn't tell you yet," he said softly. Emma turned to him, her heartbeat quickening again. "What is it?" she asked. He hesitated, searching for the right way to say it, and his next words would change everything she thought. She knew about that summer, about the connection they once shared, and the possibilities waiting for them now. Everything was about to shift again. Emma felt her pulse quicken as she looked at Michael. The last words he had said lingered between them, heavy with meaning. There was a pause, a quiet stretch of time that felt like the entire city had slowed down for just this moment. The river outside reflected the fading evening light, golden and soft, and for a moment everything else seemed to disappear. It was just the two of them, standing on a bridge that felt like a bridge between their past and something new. Michael took a deep breath and met her eyes with a mixture of honesty and vulnerability. "Emma," he said slowly, "I didn't reach out all these years because I was scared. I didn't want to risk feeling something so deeply for someone who might not remember me the same way I remembered her." Emma's heart tightened. She had expected him to tell her about practical reasons, about timing or distance. She hadn't expected fear, not the kind that came from caring too much. It made her feel both warmth and a gentle ache. Realizing how real his feelings had been all along. "I didn't know you cared," she whispered, almost more to herself than to him. "I didn't know someone remembered me like that." Michael's expression softened. "I never stopped caring, Emma, even when I didn't hear from you. Even when years passed, I always remembered our time together. And now that you're here, I wanted to be honest with you, because hiding feelings doesn't make them go away. It only makes life feel emptier." Emma felt a lump in her throat. She had always thought she was too cautious, too practical for matters of the heart. But standing here beside Michael, she realized how much of herself she had locked away, and how little she had allowed the past to tell her about who she truly was. This moment, unexpected and unplanned, felt like an invitation to rediscover something she had lost herself, through someone who had always remembered her. She looked at him, searching his eyes for signs of pressure or expectation. There were none. He wasn't asking her to respond immediately. He wasn't demanding anything. He was simply telling her the truth, and somehow that was enough. It was rare, Emma thought, to find someone willing to share their heart without trying to control yours in return. "I want to know you again," she said, her voice gaining strength as she spoke. "Not the memory of someone from years ago, but who you are now. And maybe let me show you who I am now, too." Michael's face lit with a gentle, relieved smile. "I want that too," he said. "We don't have to rush. We don't have to force anything. But we can start. Here, now." Emma felt a quiet, steady warmth spread through her chest. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't sudden passion. It was something deeper, something adult and honest trust, curiosity, the slow awakening of connection. She realized how different it felt from young, impulsive attraction. This was real, lived, and mature. It carried the weight of years, the wisdom of choices, and the hope of a second chance. They started walking along the river, side by side, talking softly about small, everyday things. The city lights reflected on the water, flickering like tiny stars. They spoke about the art programs, the books they had read, their favorite music. Emma laughed more than she had in months, her laughter blending with the soft sounds of the evening. It was comfortable, natural, a quiet joy she hadn't expected to find so quickly as they paused near a small cafe terrace. Michael reached into his pocket and pulled out the photograph that had started it all. He held it between them, letting the evening breeze play with the edges of the paper. "One photo changed everything," he said quietly, his voice steady but tender. "It brought you back to me. It reminded me of something I didn't want to lose forever." Emma looked at the photo and then back at him. She saw her younger self smiling, carefree, and then herself now, standing in the moment, alive, aware, capable of making choices. And she realized that it wasn't just the photo that had changed everything. It was their willingness to face the past, to acknowledge it, and to step forward together. "I never forgot it either," she admitted softly. "Even if I couldn't remember it fully, something inside me knew it mattered. I just needed to find my way back." Michael nodded. "And now we're here. That's what matters. We don't need to rewrite the past. We just need to live what comes next." The quiet between them wasn't awkward. It was full of possibilities. Emma felt the weight of years of longing, confusion, and forgotten moments lift slightly, replaced with a gentle hope. She realized that life didn't have to be perfect. It didn't have to be dramatic. Sometimes the most powerful moments were quiet, steady, and shared between two people who understood each other. They continued walking along the riverbank, talking and laughing softly, their steps in rhythm. The city around them seemed alive but distant, a backdrop to their own unfolding story. Emma felt a sense of calm and anticipation she hadn't felt in years. She was aware of Michael's presence beside her, but it wasn't overwhelming. It was grounding. It made her feel safe to explore what she hadn't allowed herself to explore before: emotions, connection, and maybe love that was patient and steady rather than urgent. Michael looked at her, his expression thoughtful. "I don't know what the future holds," he said honestly, "but I do know that I don't want to miss the chance to get to know you again. That's enough for now." Emma smiled, feeling a quiet relief. "I don't want to miss it either. I want to see where this goes." Slowly, honestly, and without pressure. He nodded, a soft smile playing on his lips. "Then we'll take it one step at a time." The evening darkened, but the air remained calm, almost magical. Emma realized that this meeting, this unexpected reconnection, had given her more than answers about the past. It had reminded her of her own capacity to feel, to trust, to hope. She felt lighter, freer, more herself than she had in years as they reached a quiet bench by the river. Michael turned to her and spoke with a gentle certainty. "We have a second chance, Emma, not to repeat the past, but to create something new. And that's a rare gift." Emma nodded, feeling tears threaten her eyes, not sadness, but the overwhelming beauty of a moment she had never imagined. "I know," she whispered, "and I want to try. I want to see it through." They sat together side by side, watching the river flow. The city lights shimmering on the surface, a quiet promise of possibilities ahead. No words were needed for a while. Their silence was comfortable, full of understanding and shared experience. Each of them carried the past, but they were no longer bound by it. They were free to be together in the present, exploring what life had in store for them. Michael reached over and gently held her hand. It wasn't dramatic or urgent. It was soft, steady, and intentional. Emma felt a warmth spread through her chest, a sense of safety and belonging she hadn't realized she had been missing. It was a connection built on years, on honesty, and on the quiet understanding that some things, once lost, could still be found. Emma smiled at him. I'm glad I found you again, she said softly. Michael returned her smile, squeezing her hand lightly. Me too. More than I can say. The photo, once a symbol of loss and forgotten memories, now lay between them, a reminder of how life could shift in an instant. One simple photograph had opened a door to the past, and they had both stepped through it, ready to explore a future together. The city around them continued its quiet rhythm. But for Emma and Michael, the world had narrowed to the river, the lights, and the soft, steady presence of each other. And in that moment, Emma realized that life didn't need perfection to be beautiful. It only needed courage, honesty, and the willingness to take a step forward, hand in hand with someone who remembered not just the past, but the heart that had been waiting all along.